Volkswagen Golf is considered the daddy of the compact hatchback segment, but along with it, Volkswagen made the Scirocco.
Yes, the Scirocco was created back in 1974, the car based on the soon-to-be-released Golf, and it replaced the Karmann Ghia coupe. At the end of the 1980s, Volkswagen also introduced a slightly more upmarket Corrado and phased out the Scirocco in the early 1990s. Then for more than a decade, things went quiet, and the Scirocco returned in 2008. This is the facelifted version. As part of the facelift, Volkswagen changed the engine lineup. The 160 horsepower 1.4 TSI power plant has been replaced with a 2-liter 180 horsepower engine. The 210 Volkswagen Golf GTI engine got a power boost. Also, the diesels have more power. Changes also include a more aggressive front. Other improvements are mainly cosmetic.
What is the point of having the Scirocco when you can buy a 3-door Golf and pick from a broader range of engines to better fit your needs? When you hear the name Golf, you probably don't think about refined design. And the Scirocco, in my opinion, is not just the best looking Volkswagen out there on the market, but a good and modern looking car, period. I love the flared wheel arches, the falling roofline, the aggressive front.
The 312-liter boot is decent for a car which you don't buy for how practical it is. There are some hooks for your shopping, but that's where practicality ends. Access to the boot is difficult because of the high boot sill. In the winter, it's easy to get your jacket dirty when you're leaning in. The seats fold but not flat. Under the floor, there's a mini spare. Still, compared to Toyota GT86 or Peugeot RCZ, access to the rear seats and space in the back of the Scirocco is pretty decent. There's also plenty of space in the front. The instruments are straightforward, the multimedia system is easy to use. You can specify a USB and 3.5mm jack socket. Storage under the armrest and in the glove box is average. I like the triangle-shaped door handles, and there's even a bottle opener in the cup holder. And I do like the tartan seat lining.
What I don't like is lack of lumbar support adjustment and the fact that I'm sitting quite high here. This is the lowest seat setting. I realize the Scirocco is no Mazda MX-5, but I wouldn't mind being able to lower my seat even further. This Scirocco is powered by a 2-liter 220 horsepower engine. It's turbocharged, of course, and reminding me about this turbocharging is this gauge here. There are 3 gauges on top of the dashboard. One of them is your oil temperature, the other one is your clock, stopwatch and stuff, and the third one is turbo. Now, the stopwatch, it sounds like a good plan. You know, you're gonna go out on a track or you want to time yourself on some sort of section of a twisty road. Sounds like a brilliant idea, but the buttons to operate it are over here, so you sort of have to lean towards it and hope you don't sort of reset your time while you're timing yourself. That would suck big time, wouldn't it? But the oil gauge is a brilliant idea because you probably don't realize how long it takes for the oil temperature to reach the optimum temperature. And on a day like this, when it's sort of snow and rain mixed around 0 degrees Celsius, well, it takes 20 to 15 minutes of driving before you can actually floor this car. Now the engine is warm, so I can floor it. But if I floor it, I'm never going to get 6.4 liters per 100 kilometers in the combined cycle, which Volkswagen promises. I think probably 7-8 liters per 100 kilometers in combined cycle is more realistic, and in the city 9-10 it's a safe bet for this 2-liter 220 horsepower engine. Still, I mean, you've got more than 200 horsepower and it does around 10 liters per 100 kilometers in the city. That's pretty good. These 3 gauges come as standard these days, by the way. In the pre-facelift car, they came as an option. By the way, the old Scirocco, the second generation, the first generation, also had 2 gauges instead of 3, and these gauges were down there somewhere, so looking at them while driving wasn't particularly safe. It just wasn't a good place to put them. But probably you couldn't send the information up there because it was all analog back then. Because of the weather today, I can't show you the launch control function because, well, if I showed you the launch control function, it wouldn't really make any difference because the wheels would just spin, and you know, that doesn't make any sense. However, when it's nice and dry and warm, you can try launch control. You basically put the DSG into sport, you press the traction control, so you switch off the traction control partially. You can switch it off completely, but for launch control you switch it off partially. You press the brake, you floor it, revs go up to about 4,000 RPM, and off it goes, you release the brake. This car is said to do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 6.5 seconds. Unfortunately, as I said, I can't show it to you today because of the weather conditions. So, sorry about that. But interestingly enough, despite the crappy weather, this car has brilliant grip, really. The grip on this thing is endless. I tried it yesterday with traction control on, with it partially switched off, with it completely switched off, and the car is very neutral. There is no lift of oversteer, even in weather conditions like this, and I'm really pleasantly surprised at how good this car is. At least in this respect, because what spoils the fun for me is the electrically assisted power steering. It's just too light. I drive an MX-5, so over there it's a still hydraulically assisted power steering, and it's nice and heavy, gives me a lot of feedback. This steering may be precise, but it just feels like a game console. It feels artificial. I also can't tell the difference between the different settings of the DCC, which is the adaptive damper control system something. Anyway, I've been driving in comfort, in normal, in sport, and I really can't tell the difference between the settings, at least not on a public road. Maybe if I was driving this thing on a track and it was dry, maybe then I could tell the difference. So if you're not going to drive on the track, you can save yourself some money and go for regular suspension. You can also save yourself some money on these paddle shifters because, well, the chances are you're not going to use them in everyday situation. Either get a manual, or if you want an automatic, just drop these. You don't really need them. Cool thing about this car is that it can be equipped with parking assist, and parking assist you're going to use more often. You know, this thing will park the car for you parallel or 90 degrees, and it will even unpark the car for you if you know, if you get stuck. So that's nice, and that's actually something I'm going to use. Visibility is average at best. So first of all, in the rear view mirror I see the 2 huge headrests, and if I had passengers back there I probably wouldn't be able to see a thing. And if I look over my shoulder, well, now you see these sort of nice lines and curves on the outside, and this little triangle rear side window. It looks very nice from the outside, but from the inside I can't see shit. This car is equipped with a 6-speed DSG, that's double clutch, 6-speed, not 7-speed, because the 6-speed can cope with higher torque. This thing makes 350 Nm of torque. The sound, how does the Scirocco sound? Well, let's put it into sport. I don't know, I guess it sounds good enough, but I wonder, why is the sound coming from behind my knee? A bit artificial. If you want a car that stands out from the crowd, you don't need the back seats every day, but since you paid for a four-seater, you want a four-seater, then Volkswagen Scirocco is what you're looking for.
If you're looking for alternatives for the Scirocco, check out my reviews of Toyota GT86 and Peugeot RCZ. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, new reviews every Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.